Hi everyone, hope things are going well today. You can see that I'm wearing my introverted but willing to discuss native plants shirt today because we are going to be talking about different certifications that you can get for your pollinator gardens, which do have an emphasis on native plants, and then just signs in general that you can put up to bring awareness. So I have actually collected quite a few signs, and the reason being is that these signs are able to bring a lot of awareness and conversation around the garden projects that I am putting around the house, especially as they're towards the sidewalk. So not only does it inform people, but it brings up conversation with the plant choices that I'm picking. A lot of native plants, which are beneficial for pollinators, are, what people might consider more weedy plants, like your goldenrods or your asters, which you might find, by the side of the road, or that common milkweed. So it's the idea that we are bringing awareness and we're gardening with a purpose. We're not just letting our gardens go wild and letting whatever grow. We have a plan, and that is to help our pollinators. Alright, so let's take a look at some of our signs that you can get for your gardens. I'm going to switch this over so that way we can see my computer screen as we go through these. Alright, so as you can see, our first sign that you can get is an initiative called the Butterflyway Ranger program. This is a volunteer initiative from the David Suzuki Foundation. Sadly, the application process is over for this year, but you can find rangers or those people who are participating in this initiative to get your sign and to participate in this project. So depending on the ranger that you're working with, rangers have almost a vast variety of opportunities that they can take in their community. So they can do things such as bringing awareness, selling plants. They can also set up garden beds. So it really depends on the ranger in your area and what they're planning on doing. So for this project, you can see some of these initiatives. This was obviously pre-COVID, are bigger than others. There are some rangers that are starting out their own pollinator garden for the first time, so a vast array of expertise for this. What's great with this initiative and being a ranger is that you do get a sign, which you can't get if you just ask the organization for one. You do need to grab one from a ranger or be a ranger yourself, and you do get a lovely t-shirt, which is kind of cool. Which is great about this. There's also a lot of webinars that you can attend, and it is considered more mandatory that you do participate in these webinars because there is a lot to take from these and to bring back to your community. So a great little initiative there for you to get your sign. And if you take a look, this is what the signs look like. I haven't gotten mine yet, but I think I'm having about 10 signs come in. Alright, our next sign is a garden certification, and this is city specific. I know the city of Guelph, I believe, also has one as well. This one is specific towards Hamilton. So if you take a look at our website, or their website actually, for this is the Hamilton Pollinator Paradise, and you are able to certify your garden in order to get one of these signs, and then also your garden dotted on this map here, which is kind of cool to see all the gardens that are there. So for this certification, there are requirements that you do need to have for this. So if you do take a look at the description, they really want you to have a space to provide shelter, to have water, to have the plants that these pollinators do need. So if you scroll down, they do have a little toolkit, but if you take a look, you can see the different things that you should try to have in your garden. So in terms of shelter, what are some things that you are providing for these pollinators? So, bare earth and a bee nest are great for our solitary bees in our garden. And then also the different kinds of plants that you have. It is important to have those native plants in there because they do, attract quite a few pollinators. There's even a spot for you to list the different kinds of native plants that you have for your pollinators. Water is something that you need to have. Before I had my bird bath, I did just have, a shallow dish of water in order to meet this requirement. But there's lots of different options there for that. And then it also looks at more sustainable gardening practices that you have in your garden. There's a little bit about invasive species, just to make sure that you yourself are aware of, what's an invasive species and what you're trying to do to make sure that they're under control and or removed if possible. There's also a little spot if you want to share some of your photos. That's a great way as well. And that is it for the Hamilton Pollinator Paradise sign. My sign is actually outside, so if you take a look at this photo, my sign is right there in that little milkweed patch that I have there. Alright, so our next sign is more for awareness. It's not a garden certification. So this sign is from Garden, Ontario, so it is, one of those metal signs, which is quite exciting to have. It's sturdy, it can stand up to all of that rain and weather. When I ordered my sign, I also got quite a few of these brochures, which is great, to hand out to those neighbors or those people asking about your garden. So if you take a look at their website, Garden Ontario, you will need to scroll down. Finding information on getting this sign was a little bit tricky because it's not very well advertised. So if you take a look at the pollinator habitat section and you press on that plus, it does talk about what you can do to help those pollinators. And again, it is, there is an emphasis on those native plants in your garden. So if you want that brochure, you actually can download that brochure. There is a link for that there. When I ordered my sign, they actually gave me quite a few brochures, so I didn't have to print those out. But if you are looking to get one of these signs, there is information here, so you can obtain one of these signs by sending an email to the organization. So treasurer@gardenontario.org. So I actually have the order page here. So if you want to get one of these signs, and it is a sturdy metal sign, it does cost $25 for this sign. The postage for this can vary depending on where you live. So you will need to contact them in order to get that information. Alright, sign number 4 is from the Canada Wildlife Foundation. So here's my metal sign for my garden, which has been certified. For our next one, obviously, you can see that this sign, you do need your garden certified. In the process, you can order a sign. There is a cheaper, I think, aluminum or plastic sign. This one's actually brushed aluminum. You get a certificate and then also like a cool little sticker. So if you take a look at their website, you can see that their website has quite a lot of information on providing a wildlife friendly habitat. So lots of information that one can read about. There is an application form, so that way you can apply for your garden to be certified, and you can see they also have a little map of where certified gardens are, which is always kind of cool to see, because I'm always curious which gardens in my area have something. So as you can see, when you apply for your garden certification, you do get a lovely certificate, you get a little sticker for your window, and you have the opportunity to buy one of these signs. So you can see there is the brushed aluminum, which I really like. Sadly, mine fell over in the winter and it did get a little dirty in the process, but a beautiful sign. There is also the option to get a plastic one, I believe. Still weather resistant, but a lot cheaper if you're looking for something more affordable. So $15, which includes the shipping, compared to the $50. So if you take a look at their application process, you can see as you scroll down, quite similar to the Hamilton Pollinator Paradise application, they do ask you, the size of your garden, where it is, and they look at a lot of different features that you have. So again, there is an emphasis on those native plants, so they do want you to list the native plants that you have in your garden first, breaking it down from flowering plants, fruits, and then also plants that produce nuts or seeds. As you continue scrolling down, water continues to be something that is important in creating that habitat for our pollinators, because it is something that they use either to cool down or to stay hydrated. So you can have that shallow dish of water, or you can have something a lot nicer like a pond or a bird bath. Shelter again is quite important in certifying your garden. If you don't have something fancy like a bat house, you can quite easily just create brush piles if you're worried about checking off that shelter criteria there. Again, sustainable garden practices, so hopefully you don't use any chemical insecticides or herbicides in your garden. And then it also will ask you about any other sustainable or earth-friendly practices that you partake in. So something like using a rain barrel, leaving the grass clippings on your lawn. And then finally, we have our animal list. So any wildlife that come into your property, you can list those there. Since having my bird bath, I've seen so many more birds come in. So in terms of wildlife, from when I applied for this sign originally, I see way more birds. But it is great to see. Wildlife doesn't just include, your birds and your chipmunks, etc. It includes a lot of your native bees and those butterflies and flies, and beetles even as well. There is a space for you to put any photos that you have, and that is it for that certification process. Alright, so our last sign that we're going to be talking about is another garden certification process sign. This is our Monarch Way Station sign. You do also get a certificate as well. This is down in the States. So if you're looking for this sign, you will need to wait a little bit longer for this sign to be shipped to you. So if we take a look at their website, you can see that this certification really does emphasize taking care of those monarch butterflies. And there's lots to read here, but I want to just scroll down and point out that they do want you to have quite a few milkweed plants. So they recommend that you have at least 10 milkweed plants in your garden in order to be a way station. So something to keep in mind. Again, if you take a look, this is a US site, so it does talk about, the States. Lots of different milkweeds that you can choose from. In our area, up here in Ontario, you probably will find common milkweed, swamp milkweed, butterfly milkweed, and then every now and then you might find a poke or purple milkweed as well. We won't see things like antelope, horn milkweed, or maybe even the aquatic milkweed we don't see up here. So if you take a look at their process, again, remember this is in the States, so if you're looking at purchasing your sign, it is in USD. So in order to certify your garden, there is unfortunately an application fee, so that is $16 to certify and register your garden. You can bundle it up so that way you get one of these metal signs. So again, same thing as our Canada Wildlife Federation and then also our Hamilton Pollinator Paradise certification. They do take a look at the size of your garden. In here, it does want you to have quite a few milkweed plants. So there's quite a few milkweeds that you can find in the States. In Ontario, we won't see all of these milkweeds, but it is important to have some of those. And then also just general nectar plants. These aren't native to Ontario, to my knowledge, but they are great on providing that extra nectar for those monarch butterflies. As you continue scrolling down, you can see that there are sustainable practices that they want you to take a look at. So yes and no, or yes or no for those. So as you keep scrolling down, there is a spot for you to put down your habitat information. And then if you look in their website, they actually have an Excel sheet of all of these way stations, both in the States and also up in Canada. So if you're looking at getting an extra sign down here, $17 if you do need to get another sign. When I got my sign, I actually had an issue with my sign, so I emailed them back. They were amazing. It was great customer service. They actually sent another sign for free. This is shipped from the States, which was, I was like blown away by the fact that they decided to do that for me. So I do have a undamaged sign that will be going up later this growing season. Anyways, I hope that video was helpful going over those different signs. You don't need to collect all of these signs for your garden. Having one is enough just to bring awareness and conversation to those pollinators and the native plants that you are putting in your garden. And also, if you're in Hamilton and you're looking for a Butterflyway sign, you can feel free to send me a message. I should have quite a few on hand when they arrive. Anyways, we'll see you later.